time, demon hunters switched their eyesight to see void beings instead of demons, and they started wielding the void instead of the fel. Demon hunters were built to obviously fight demons and to absorb their essence, and now demons are gone and they're just left without a purpose, just chilling around. We know for a fact Blizzard plans to remove all race class restrictions, so it's only a matter of time before we get the Void Elf Demon Hunters. We've also seen them introduce new specs to the Dractyl quite recently, so that is on the table as well. Not only is there no reason Void Elves can be Demon Hunters, but we could see new Demon Hunter Void Ritual that could expand this class to all the other available races. Blizzard recently started building Cosmic Void as a very likely new potent source, new magic, so literally for Demon Hunters, why not just exchange Fel for the Void and just create a new purpose to save Azeroth? We could even see the possible return of Illidan, as after all, the real reason Sargeras even went on his crusade was in order to battle the Void, which really is the true villain of the Warcraft universe. So, Void Demon Hunters. If you guys could pick one add-on to a deserted island, Zygor would be the best solution. It is the ultimate add-on for both retail and classic. It helps you in a ton of ways. You can level easier with these convenient Winged Point arrows. It can help you make gold. It can help with professions, achievements, pretty much everything you can think of in WoW, and it is constantly kept up to date. Best of all, you can get it completely free with my link in the description below, and if you do decide to purchase the Zygor Elite, you can get 20% off with my code DORON. So check out Zygor. Demon Hunters are really problematic, as in they're in such a unique scenario that they can't even really be compared to any other class that we have. Unlike the Warriors or the Druids or really any more versatile class, these guys were literally built for one single purpose, and that purpose is completely gone right now, and these guys are literally just a plot hole at the moment that no one is actually addressing. No one really knows what is going on. They were an elite order created by Illidan, and he pretty much did everything possible to turn them into most efficient demon fighting machines. Not only did he increase their reflexes and use specific weapons that proved to be good counters to demons, but they literally ripped out their own eyes just to see demons better. I mean, just think about how ridiculous and just how unsustainable that is. I mean, they wanted to defeat the Legion so bad that they replaced their eyes with these demon finders, and now they're just chilling around in player hubs with this just completely useless feature, and they can't even actually see. So naturally, now that Sargeras is imprisoned and Illidan is holding him, what exactly are these guys doing? And with recent hints, I think there might actually not only be a great way to revive this class, but to also give them a brand new purpose, and seeing how popular they are, this would be an amazing addition for the next expansion and definitely a huge selling point for Blizzard. Now, wishes and all, realistically at the moment we have two possibilities for this to be implemented. One is to make them playable to the Void Elves. That would really be the easiest to implement and the more boring version. And the second is to give them a new spec that would be completely unrelated to their class purpose, that would make them a lot more interesting, but this would definitely require a lot of new lore. I'm not just making things up like this is my wish list. You guys know they're in the process of removing all the race and class restrictions, and this is something you have definitely witnessed this past year, and we even got a new batch right now in the new patch with a bunch of brand new Warlock quests. They did say that this is a pretty difficult task, that some can be implemented easily, some are going to be a lot harder, some might be impossible, although this impossible part was technically referring to expanding evokers to other races, because evokers are obviously a dragon thing. I mean, you can't have a gnome breeding dragon fire. However, this process obviously started with more easier implementations, and now they're slowly but surely getting into the hard stuff where they have to start building the actual lore infrastructure. You might have noticed all these new Warlock quests and the fact that they made Lightforged Draenei and Mega Warlocks, which is just a huge contradiction in itself, but it just shows that things are definitely not impossible. I mean, Blizzard can really twist the lore if they want to make these lace class restrictions possible. Now, you could make the argument that Demon Hunters are an elf-only thing, and you're right, because they are, but not really for any type of a particular reason. I mean, the real practical reason is is that this was the easiest for Blizzard to implement, as they had to come up with these tattoos, these horns, all these new customizations, so it was just much easier to just give them to 2 races than to implement it for everyone, as that would really make it a developmental nightmare. However, there is literally approximately 0 lore that says that demon hunters have to be elves. The lore we got from that Illidan novel was that blood elves and night elves kind of followed Illidan because he's one of their own, he was kind of close to them, but that is really where this lore stops. The entire thing about being a demon hunter is that it is literally just a ritual to become an elite warrior. It's not like some blood elf is like necessary to be able to use it, like you need elven blood. Now, granted, they need the agile races such as the elves because super quick reflexes are a thing when fighting demons, but I don't really see how elves are really more agile than the humans, or at least to a much greater extent than the humans. However, even if we say the demon hunters can only be elves, keep in mind we literally got the Nightborn and the Void Elves, which are essentially just an offshoot of the existing Night Elves and the Blood Elves that came only a few years after Illidan's new batch of demon hunters that he had created in the Black Temple. Like, literally, what is stopping some Blood Elf Demon Hunters from turning into Void Elves when that happened? Which would make the Void Elf Demon Hunters a definite possibility. So, let's say Blizzard decides to expand the Demon Hunters to Void Elves, and in turn, that gives them inherent Void abilities. Well, there is actually a precedent. Sure, Demon Hunters were made before the Void Elves, but remember how they literally gave Death Knights to all the available allied races? I mean, they just came up with a story, they said we need new champions to defend Azeroth as the world is in need, and poof, we got them. What is to stop them from saying some demon hunters decided to explore the void, or to follow their blood elven brethren into embracing the void, which gave them these unique powers? The only real issue with this scenario, even though it will be super easy to implement, is that I really don't think it will be that interesting. I mean, this would really just be a new customization, just like a bit of a flavor and a little bit of a different look. But I think the other scenario is not only more likely, but this could be a seriously good selling point for Blizzard to implement, and that is to add a 3rd spec to Demon Hunters, which would at the same time allow a creation of new batch of Demon Hunters, Demon Void Hunters, and this could expand them to all the other available races. At the moment, I mean, we literally have a perfect precedent for this to happen. The Director started with 2 specs, they didn't say anything about a 3rd one coming, and yeah, lo and behold, we got a brand new spec for the Director that was quite easily introduced and really not that much of a lore effort. Now let's take this focus on Demon Hunters, and how would Void Demon Hunters be justified, and how would they really work as a class? So realistically, lore-wise, I think they would be quite easy to implement. I mean, if you have followed the recent news or just Dragonfight in general, you don't even have to stay super up to date. You might have noticed a ton, and I mean a ton, of Void teams all over the place. Not just the old gods are coming back and all that, but we have this Cosmic Void. We've seen Blizzard build a brand new magic called the Cosmic Void that seems to be related to these cosmological, planetary type beings such as Anshul, that has a completely distinct color as well as different spell effects when compared to the old god corrupting type Void that we have seen all this time. This was previously started with the entire creation of the Void Elves and how they can twist this super chaotic and corrupting energy and use it just as a neutral energy, and they can use it for good. The setup dates as far back as Legion, when Illyria explored the Void and learned that it really wasn't so bad after all as the Light had told them. Now, not only had the Demon Hunters been exposed to it back then during Legion, but they also have their Blood Elf connections to the Void Elves, and now in Dragonfight, they're seeing this energy pretty much all over the place wherever we go. They have been without a purpose for a really long time. With the time skip that they had introduced prior to Dragonfight, it's been a decade, and now they could finally find themselves useful again, and they could revive and even recreate a new Void Hunter order, and this could replenish their numbers because lore-wise, Demon Hunters are super few in numbers. These guys were built to battle cosmological beings and insanely powerful giant creatures and to absorb their essence, so why not just exchange Fel for the Void and make this a reality? We could have the existing Demon Hunters undergo an enhancement type ritual to turn them into Void Hunters, or if you wanted to make this more interesting, we could have a questline with a brand new ritual that would not only expand their numbers but also recruit other races and just make this possible. Realistically, there are definitely some that will be problematic. I mean, let's say Torrent Demon Hunters, I can't see them being super fast, but let's be real, we already have Torrent Rogues, we have Lightforged Warlocks, so I think it will be fine. I mean, we could just say they're enhanced by the powers of the Fel and the Void combined, which gives them this super speed. Now, how would these guys actually work, and what would a Void Demon Hunter spec look like from a practical perspective? In my opinion, we could have multiple scenarios, but the main issue is that it will be contradicting. I mean, I can't see them giving these new races just one spec, so they would have to take the Fel as well, and they could just say that Fel is also part of the ritual, you got to do the Fel part in order to get the Void. However, at the same time, in the game, we already have the Light and the Shadow Priest that are pretty much, lore-wise, completely different classes. They have nothing to do with each other, and they're really just split up by specs and they're only one class, so I can see them using this example as a precedent. These new powers could include the Cosmic Void that they just started building in Dragonflight. They might not need the crazy reflexes that they use for demons, or some features would definitely have to be biased towards fighting beings with the Void, as now the purpose is completely different. Void beings are generally, unlike the demons, less brute force of a thing and more mind control and more spell based, so they would have to have some sort of a way to use the Void to counter the Void, to fortify their minds or to enhance their eyes to see Void beings instead of the demons, which could give them a super cool look and a lot of really interesting customizations. We could also have the glaives enhance themselves, and we could get some teleport-like abilities, which would fit the Void teams quite nice. I mean, just think of it sort of like a mix between a Shadow Priest and a Demon Hunter. Interesting enough, if this happens, we might see the reintroduction of Illidan. We know he and Sargeras were kinda put on pause, the story never really ended, and Illidan might realize that the Legion wasn't the bad guy that he thought it was after ruminating as Sargeras' jailer for a decade, but instead it was the Void, because Sargeras started his Burning Crusade to battle the Void in the first place, and we're getting all this new Titan lore that could be related to this, so he might come back for round 2 and see how he can save Azeroth once again, or to just mentor and guide this new Void Demon Hunter order, sort of akin to Bolvar, how he created a new batch of allied race Death Knights. Now, realistically, this would require quite a lot of new lore infrastructure and some pretty significant changes, but if they do decide to just expand Demon Hunters to other races, the closest we could get are Void Elf Demon Hunters, which would make it definitely a reality, but I do feel like this would be kinda boring. Thank you for watching. Check out how we Ridicon completely bamboozled us and wasted our time in Azeroth by clicking on the screen, and check out Doronsmovies Academy for videos in real world history. See you next time!